It's just about where it is. It's about, people
Okay,
ask
Regina,
us.
hold it.
Go ahead.
Naylor. I am the Park Recreation Historical Commissioner of Alameda County. I'm a small business ambassador. I'm a published author, and I'm a small business.
I am a real estate developer. I have developed affordable housing in San Francisco, particularly in the Bayview neighborhood. I have developed cultural facilities in New York City, including Studio Museum of Harlem. And currently I'm working on what I would consider an amazing development, which is the Mandela Station.
So Regina, why is this project called Mandela Station?
It's called Mandela Station because for myself and Alan Jones at Strategic Urban Development Alliance, we see this as a project about equity, about justice, and it is literally located on Mandela Parkway, also 7th Street. But this station has a name and an address already with Mandela in it, and we think it's just poetic justice that in this community where there's been so much mistreatment and misuse of our physical environment, whether it's BART being above ground and the noise and other things that causes, the destruction of a commercial core, which 7th Street is historically a black commercial core that was very vibrant at one time, or whether it's the Federal Post Office or 880. I mean, all of those things, the Cypress Tree, they all impacted this community in a negative way. And we feel that, naming it Mandela gives it a grounding in a history, in a vision about reestablishing equity for this neighborhood. That's very important.
Okay, so with so much gentrification going on in the major communities like in Harlem, like in Chicago, how would gentrification impact Oakland and this Mandela Station project?
When we think about gentrification, the idea that's in people's mind is people who are outside of the community come in and then displace folks that used to be here. Well, about 10 years ago, remember the economic problem. Well, there were 11,000 foreclosures in Oakland. And the majority of those were actually in West Oakland. And West Oakland was not just a traditionally African American community, it was a community that had lots of owners. It was a historic area for blacks in the entire Bay Area. And so the displacement in West Oakland really happened almost a decade ago. The fact that some people are just waking up to that or just got woke is not what's going to propel us forward. What we need to propel us forward is to address equity as an ownership issue and figure out ways that we can own West Oakland again, right? So when we talk about the economic impact of not having our own businesses, which means that's where jobs come from. That's a deeper impact. A lot of times we just look at housing and there's affordability in terms of just a very small percentage of housing that's actually been built to be affordable in Oakland. 10 years ago, when Oakland voters had an opportunity to have an affordable housing bond, they turned that down. And so there are some real impacts to that. And as there's greater job growth in the Bay Area, we have to realize that we're a part of that. And what we really need to bring to West Oakland are jobs, so people in West Oakland can participate in the prosperity that the general Bay Area is enjoying.
Okay, so for this project that's going to take place in West Oakland, how do people of color become a part of the process?
Well, let's just be perfectly clear. If you look at the Oakland skyline, less than 1% of the buildings in the skyline have been developed by people of color.
Okay.
This Mandela project happens to be a development where the major developers are people of color. So China Harbor Engineering Company is a Chinese-owned company, state-owned company, and Strategic Urban Development Alliance are both people of color. There's no other development that of this scale that can say that. So when we talk about how are people going to participate, just know that the actual developers of this development are people of color, and that is very unique, unfortunately, in the Bay Area.
Okay, so.
But the other station, as a mixed-use office building, housing, retail, can only be successful if 7th Street is successful. So one of the aspects that we're looking at is how to include not only this development, but this area in what's called an enhanced infrastructure finance district. This will allow us to create things that will help small businesses be able to invest and expand and really meet the service needs of the community of West Oakland. The reason why that is significant, I want to add, is that when people of color are in the position of the developer, they get to orchestrate who gets to participate in the development. They talk about what it becomes, right? So these are all things that when people of color are making those decisions, the result is different. And so the inclusion, even the inclusion of the community advisory group for Mandela Station is unique, right? So, I mean, you can speak to that.
Right.
So having people of color also, and not just of color, but also people who actually live in West Oakland be on the development team itself.
Okay. And so that goes to my next question. So for people who are already vested in the community, especially small business owners, how are you seeking to provide support and access to capital and just be there for these business owners who stuck it out after all of this time?
Bless them. I thank them. I know it's been a very, very tough going. I've lived in West Oakland for 20 years, and what we've all endured is about to end, because we will end it, right? So we're all going to work together to end it. Mandela Station, as a mixed-use office building, housing, retail, can only be successful if 7th Street is successful. So one of the aspects that we're looking at is how to include not only this development, but this area in what's called an enhanced infrastructure finance district. This will allow us to create things that will help small businesses be able to invest and expand and really meet the service needs of the community of West Oakland.
Okay. So do you see West Oakland, the Mandela Station, becoming the new Union Square where all the excitement happens and everything like that, and that as people are using this as a thoroughfare to go to their home in Livermore, Pittsburgh, what have you, that they're going to stop off now and come to the Mandela Station to hang out and be with their friends and just make this a more lively environment than where it is now?
Absolutely. I mean, West Oakland has been a place for Black artists. And what we want to do is to have this be an arts industrial district, so that the making of films, this studio where we are, the utilization of artists at the Crucible and other artists that are in all of these, industrial buildings can have a place to have a retail district of makers, and that literally on top of the station be a quarters for makers of art, and that people around the Bay Area will come to this area to participate in that as buyers, as other artists, and that the utilization of the park will be a place of this being an arts center, an arts destination, and a place where people are making things.
Right, because it's really interesting as part of me being a part of the council, and it's